And we have the only facility in the world that can treat all types of non-waste.
Wow, that's crazy.
It
wow.
is, yes. So we're working with Intratomics to really understand what waste streams are currently going into landfill and how can we really capture value from those products.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Sustainability Heroes, a podcast brought to you by Tadweer Group, where we speak to guests from across the sustainability sector. I'm joined by CEO of Magma, Mark Woods. Hi, Mark.
Good morning.
Good morning. So I've asked Mark to be on the show today because he is CEO of a company called Magma, which focuses on the treatment of hazardous and radioactive waste across the UAE. Super cool. Super cool.
It is.
And Tadweer Group is one of the majority shareholders in Magma. So we're super excited to work closely with Magma and understand their story. So please, Mark, tell me all about your role and what Magma does.
Sure. Okay, so I'm the CEO of Magma, and we were an organisation that acquired some facilities off of Tadweer Group. So we're based in Ruiz, which is about 2.5 hours away from the city, although I tend to spend most time in the city because that's where the clients are.
Nice.
So we deal with all of the hazardous and chemical waste that comes from the ADNOC priority customers. And we also have what's called a NORM facility. Now, NORM stands for naturally occurring radioactive material. So when they drill and they go under the ground, that generates radioactive waste. And we have the only facility in the world that can treat all types of NORM waste.
Wow, that's crazy.
It
wow.
is, yes.
That's amazing. So what does your day-to-day role or function include as a CEO of this company?
So my day-to-day role is very much around managing the clients, talking to clients, trying to look to secure new business. We are a new organization. We're only 2.5 years old. So for us, it's about looking at more work within the UAE, but also how we can expand across the GCC.
Nice.
I think it's fair to say that within the GCC, there is an issue with NORM waste.
Mm-hmm.
So at the moment, NORM waste is either sent to the US or it's sent to Europe. So we're trying to work with other GCC countries to see how we can support with their radioactive material. We've got some really exciting things on the go at the moment. We've signed an amazing MOU with Intratomics, who are the industrial arm of Khalifa University. And what we want to do is really drive the sustainability. We know that landfill diversion is a key target, not only for the UAE, but also for Tadweer and also for us in Magma. So we're working with Intratomics to really understand what waste streams are currently going into landfill and how can we really capture value from those products. And we're looking at what's called 2D products. So a 2D product could be something like graphene, and graphene's used in cement, concrete.
Very important material.
To strengthen it, yes. Mm-hmm. So we've got some really exciting projects on the go. We're hoping to get these over the line next year in 2026. Nice. So watch out for some more MOUs and some more contract signing.
Very cool. Well, firstly, congratulations on the signing.
Thank you.
That's amazing. I want to understand a little bit more about what it is to treat hazardous waste. Like, what is kind of like a high level bird's eye view of what that looks like?
Sure. Okay. So I guess for us in Magma, we are the largest hazardous waste facility in the UAE. And we are going to spend $40 million over the next 2 or 3 years and triple the size of it.
Wow.
So for chemical waste, it very much depends on whether it's liquid waste, whether it's solid waste, and it depends on the material. We have a number of different treatment processes within there, whether it's incineration. We do landfill because there are hazardous materials that do have to go to landfill. We do centrifugation, which is where you separate oil from water so you can treat the water.
Very cool. Very cool.
And we do some really, really good work around sustainability. So some really good examples are when we get wood in, we actually make furniture from the wood. And we use it on the site for the staff and their lunch breaks. And we're also going to start looking to put it into the community in Ruiz. We have a water treatment plant, so we reuse the water on site for irrigation.
Nice.
We use it where we need to clean products. So we really are focusing on what we can do from a sustainability. We are looking to put a solar farm on site as well in between the two facilities. So we start using a lot more renewable energy as part of our process.
So you're using all my favorite words. You're saying renewable energy, unlock the value of waste, sustainability. It's almost like you're, a very kind of sustainably
That's what we're here for. That's what we do.
Nice.
I think I've been in waste now for a number of years. And I think it's fair to say waste is an industry where you either love it or you hate it. And if you hate it, you tend to not stay very long. If you love it, you tend to stay in it for years. And, you know, I've had the privilege of working not only here in the UAE, but in the UK. I've worked for a US company dealing with all different types of waste and collections, trucks, plants.
So let's talk a bit more about that. What got you into the sector to begin with?
Well, I guess quite a few years ago, it was for me, it was a step up. So when I first joined the waste industry, I was what was known as an area manager in the UK, in Essex, for those of you that know the UK, Essex and London. And I looked after 3 or 4 sites. And within that, we had a collections division, we had transfer stations, we had recycling facilities. And so for me, it was a chance to really do multi-site management. And from there, it just grew and grew and grew. I moved organizations, but stayed within the waste industry. I became a regional manager, where I was looking after the whole of the southwest of England.
Wow.
Around the trucks. We were talking 800 people, 500-600 trucks.
Wow.
And then I became the regional managing director for the southwest. And that was for me, my first entry into a director role. It was a huge region. It had 3,000-4,000 people. It dealt with governments. It dealt with local organizations. We had energy from waste facilities. We had recycling facilities. And so that really broadened me into being into the director's role. From there, I then did a complete shift and went into clinical and medical waste for a company in the UK. And I was the UK operations director. Now, for me, that was a really challenging time because it was COVID.
Oh, true.
So I was the operations director for the largest clinical waste organisation in the UK, servicing 80% of all the UK hospitals. Which during COVID,
a big responsibility.
Was quite challenging. You know, we were having daily calls with the National Health Service. We were having weekly calls with the Cabinet Office. And it was getting to the point where, if we couldn't retrieve the waste, they was going to have to shut the theatres.
Oh, wow.
Because you just cannot operate in a theatre when you've got waste. So for me, that was a really challenging time, but a really fulfilling time because, you were constantly working during COVID. You know, you hear about there was lockdowns and shutdowns. Well, that didn't apply to me. I hired a special permit. I could still travel the UK, and go to all of my facilities. I mean, we were talking 35 facilities, incinerators. The challenge I had, being honest, was, a lot of the restaurants were closed. So I ended up eating lots of fast food.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, McDonald's, Burger Kings, kebabs, fish and chips. So, for me, I actually put on masses of weight during that time.
I can understand, yeah.
That was the downside. I mean, it was great eating it. I loved eating it. But at the end of it, when I tried to put my trousers on,
it didn't really fit quite the same.
They were a bit tight. And then I got an opportunity to come to the UAE and obviously come and work in Tadweer. Which for me was it's the first time I'd been in the country. It's the first time I'd been in the GCC.
Nice.
I'm now into my 4th year, and I absolutely love the place. So, I can see myself staying here, for quite some time.
Very nice. I mean, firstly, thank you so much for sharing such detailed experience. It's amazing to see the UAE bringing in international expertise like that to this country. But also it's the fact that we obviously have such a great relationship between Tadweer Group and Magma. And of course, there's so much synergy between us in trying to divert waste from landfill, trying to obviously to help the UAE reach its net zero ambitions as well, water sustainability agenda. So what would you say is something that you want people to know about Magma that they may not know about already?
Sure. So I guess what I'd quite like people to know is, A, we're the largest facility. B, we have, lots of capacity, lots of scope. We can do more work. We can take more volumes. And we are what I call myself as a one-stop shop. So we can take varying types of hazardous waste. Some can only take liquid waste. Some can only take solid waste. We are a one-stop shop. We're a one-stop shop. We can take all types of hazardous waste. And we really want to, grow the UAE understanding. Like I said, we've got the only global facility around Norm. So let's market that. Let's share that. Let's really get, us working with other portfolio companies, other organizations to really drive sustainability and professionalism.
I love that. I love the ambition in the passion. Absolutely. What you're saying. It's amazing. Where do you see Magma in the next kind of few years?
Okay, I see us as not only being the leading hazardous waste organisation in the UAE, but as the global subject matter expert for Norm waste. I'd like to see us having facilities in other GCC countries. I'd like to see us working with Intratomics and bringing in some new technologies that are, again, first of its kind globally, that we can then harness and share. So whilst Magma is very much Abu Dhabi, UAE centric at the moment, for me, the business growth and the strategy will be very much about how do we broaden that and how do we share all the expertise we have across other GCC countries.
That is awesome. What is your favorite thing about what you do?
I think it's the variety, and I think it's the meeting many different people and working with many different clients. I really like, and the other thing for me is, I like to be the first at something. We have the first Norm facility. I want to be the first that treats biosolids in a certain way, the first that treats carbon in a certain way. So what really drives me and excites me is I want people to say, wow, Magma, they were the first of their kind to do this.
Very cool. And is there something that you feel the community can do better or businesses can do better in terms of how they're treating their waste before it gets to you?
I do. I think we're trying to do a lot of work with the regulators, and that's where we seek Tadweer's support and guidance, because obviously you have a very close link. And what we see is there is hazardous waste that's being allowed to leave the emirate, and it gets treated in the northern Emirates now, whether that's going to a cement kiln, whether that's going to export. And so for us, it's very much about we're allowing this value to leave the emirate. And for businesses, organizations, regulators, let's work with what we have in the emirate. Let's really showcase what we have and utilize what we have here, rather than allowing it to be exported out of the emirate.
I had no idea that it was being exported out until you said it. And I love what you said there about exporting this value. Like, it's so important for us to harness locally what we have.
Absolutely.
And, at the end of the day, waste is not waste, right? Waste is a valuable resource, and there's so much we can do with it. And you mentioned some of the materials like graphene, for example, that we use when it comes to waste. And I think it's so important, and I really appreciate you taking the time to be here today to explain that and break it down in digestible pieces, so to speak. Do you have a final message for the audiences?
No, just thank you for your time. Reach out to me if you're watching this on LinkedIn, you're watching this on Instagram. Please reach out to me if you'd need some support from Magma, from myself. We can come and help make your hazardous waste and your radioactive waste a lot more compliant, a lot more safe, and a lot more sustainable.
Love that. And safety is actually one of our core values at Tadweer Group, so we appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much,
You're
Mark.
welcome. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.